for example, this is why we're talking about this controversy. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that a cop can watch somebody being mugged and murdered and do nothing about it, and they're not held accountable.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know about the murder part. I think
aren't they supposed to protect and serve?
Right, but they don't technically have to because of their rights as a cop.
All right, guys, I'm Bryson Smith.
And I'm Javin.
And this is...
Who Cares?
Who Cares?
We'll get it.
We fucked that up so bad. We effed... I just sweared, but oh well, yeah, we messed that up so bad.
We say we're going to get it, but I don't...
Yeah.
We ever will.
Anyways, you guys, this is the Who Cares podcast, and pretty much this is episode 1, and our goal here is to talk about topics that people don't talk about. So pretty much anything that we feel is important to society that isn't being highlighted, that's where we come into play, and we're going to talk about those things. So thank you for tuning into that. And we'd appreciate it if you actually join in on our future conversations. We're going to be having, I would say, kind of serious topics just because of the fact of what's going on in the world right now. And we're also going to have less serious topics. And we'll be uploading twice a week. So, yeah, we'd appreciate it if you tune in. And, yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, all that
good stuff.
All the YouTube stuff. So, but, yeah, today's topic is going to be about... I'll let you do that. Yeah.
Today's topic is what laws should cops in general enforce versus what laws should they not enforce strictly, right. Which really breaks down to if a cop sees a crime, should they do something about it? Should they go out and stop it? Should they find out what's going on? Right. Or depending on their discretion, should they be allowed to just let it go, depending on what it is?
Well, don't they do that already?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, in an ideal world, you know, if the whole idea of the police is to stop crime, and whatnot, so if they see someone breaking the law, they should stop it regardless of what it is, or... You know, regardless of what, little or small, honestly.
Right. And that's where I disagree with you.
Okay, let's hear
it. Speeding, right?
Right.
If you're like 5 miles over the speed limit, that's technically illegal. Right. So.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That makes sense, obviously.
More than that, if you hold every cop accountable for each law they don't enforce, you'll have a lot of cops in prison, and maybe that speaks to the issue of cops in general,
right?
But okay,
I was gonna say let's talk about that. So that means basically, I feel like there should be restrictions. There shouldn't even be certain laws, if that's the case. Say for example, like I was just showing Javin, I was researching laws, right? Mm-hmm. And I found a website that had 50. It's called police1.com, and pretty much it has the 50 dumbest laws in America. And there's a lot of them, but I'll go over 5 or 10 right now. So in Arizona, and these are actual laws, it is illegal to use or own more than 6 dildos. Now, you might ask yourself why. I looked into it. I really didn't see much on it, to be honest. They're really stupid reasons, and I'll give you guys another one. Listen to this. In Colorado, one may not mutilate a rock in a state park.
Mutilate.
I'm sorry. Yeah, mutilate a rock in a state park.
Really?
The reason why I read on that, it was because they take their parks or rocks seriously, so they don't want people to destroy the rocks.
So like vandalism would count?
I guess you could say that's like vandalism. Yeah.
Well, mutilate's like a specific term. That's like a I have to carve that rock with a freaking stone carver.
And people were probably doing that, so maybe that's why they came up with the law.
That makes sense.
Delaware.
Mount Rushmore.
Listen, Mount Rushmore. Alcohol may not be served in nightclubs if dancing is acquiring on the premise at the same time. Now that's weird to me.
Where is that?
This is in Delaware.
I don't believe it.
This is a law. This is an actual law.
So you can't dance and drink at the same time?
No, that's what they're saying. At a nightclub.
At a nightclub specifically.
Which is weird because that's what people do at nightclubs. Like
they dance and drink.
Right. Let's see. Listen to this in Kansas. hitting a vending machine that stole your money is illegal.
That makes sense to me.
Wait, why?
Okay, so
why? Because so many people do that, including myself.
and it actually ends up in vending machine deaths. If you shake or like
vending machine death, as if they're alive.
Vending machines kill more people than sharks. That's a well-known statistic. Sharks kill like nobody. Sharks are actually
I'm gonna need to hear some information behind that, because that sounds so absurd.
You called me on my bluff. I have no idea. But vending machines kill a lot of people, like less than cows, I think, but more
cows
than
kill
sharks.
People.
Cows kill so many fucking
I'm
people.
not informed on this, you guys. I'm really not.
Deer, cows, hippos, lethal. Absolutely one of the most dangerous animals. Deers just because they're stupid.
Okay.
They run in front of cars. But the point is, there are some stupid laws out there.
Right.
And
yes.
Although the vending machine, that makes sense to me. Dear friends of mine died in a fight with a vending machine. That's not true.
Right. I want to say, back to like the actual main point. If those are the laws and they're deemed as useless, then they shouldn't be the laws.
Yeah. Okay. So this is
most of them.
This is actually its own controversy in the American legal system, where people say, yeah, if it's an outdated and dumb law, we have an there should be a statute of like limits through which the time, like if nobody's being persecuted for it really anymore, then it should have an expiration date.
Right, I agree.
But America on policy doesn't necessarily agree. There are cases where they've said this law's stupid and we're not going to enforce it.
There's a lot of those out there.
A lot, but we're not getting rid of them, which is really weird.
We should. No, really, we should.
Other countries
it's like,
agree with you.
It's like, why are they even laws at this point?
We have no idea.
And I feel like a lot of these police officers, don't even know about. Okay, those 50 laws, I'm pretty sure most of them don't even know. I think police officers should be the most informed on laws because of the fact that they claim they are the law usually. So they should know what we don't know when it comes to law enforcement.
Well, they usually have a degree for it, criminal law and criminology. But, again.
And they abuse, their power. But that's a whole nother. But anyways, yeah.
Well, they just got shitty training. Like
the training.
Weeks, it's not very much.
Yeah.
A little under 6 months. That's not enough to get familiarized. In like there's laws, but then there's actually learning how to enforce those laws. And 21 weeks is not long enough. But the main point is. I do believe in every country this is true. Mm-hmm. There are some laws that are just symbolic that nobody really enforces.
How does that work?
How it works is
a law that isn't a law.
Yeah, it's more like a symbol of we don't want you doing this, but we're not gonna really do anything about it.
Then why is that even
I think it's just like flexing, right? I think it's just the government flexing on us and saying, see, we can do whatever the fuck we want. I'm a cynic when it comes to the government, so I don't know if that's actually true. I think it's just a series of events that led to that. But it happens all the time. Again, speeding is one of the most infamous examples where it's just like cops just don't have the freaking time to get every single person who's 5 over the speed limit. It's not practical, and in fact will probably lead to more accidents.
Not to mention 9 times out of 10 they're usually going past the speed limit themselves.
Okay, let's talk about this. Because cops can choose what laws they do and do not enforce, they themselves are not subject to all the laws that we are subject to. And while this makes sense on a certain level, for example, a cop might actually have to go over the speed limit to do their job. But why is this allowed in every case? Like an ambulance, they can go past the speed limit. Okay. But what if they're not going to an emergency? What if they're just transiting between the hospital and whatever? That shows how little I know about.
That's not right.
No, right. So why are cops allowed to do this at a constant basis? What laws should cops be held to, and what ones shouldn't they be limited to? In what cases?
That's good. I know with Breonna Taylor, that situation, and the Arizona, they recently got laws passed to where you can't choke. You can't choke someone from behind or something like that.
Unless in dire circumstances.
Right.
Which was already kind of the law. But it's better.
So that's one of the new laws. But did the guy who actually did that to Eric Garner, is he in jail now? I don't think he is.
I would hope that somebody informs us. I mean, we're gonna find out, right?
Yeah, we'll do our research, but I don't think he is.
They might still be doing an investigation.
Well, I don't know. It's just like with these laws, it's like, say, for example, that being a new law, and he's, I mean, everyone's seen the video on that. And it's hard to watch stuff like that. But I think that, with the laws, I feel like as harsh as the police are on civilians, they should also hold accountability, on themselves.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
But to that end, I agree with you. I'm on that boat.
Right.
I'm in that same line of thinking. If cops are going to be assholes to certain people about a certain thing, then they themselves should be even more accountable to those laws.
Right.
That's just a rule of thumb. I think that works.
Yeah.
Except in certain cases where they should be even more accountable. For example, this is why we're talking about this controversy. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that a cop can watch somebody being mugged and murdered and do nothing about it, and they're not held accountable.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know about the murder part. I think
aren't they supposed to protect and serve?
Right. But they don't technically have to because of their rights as a cop. If they're dispatched to a specific area and they have to, have to do it. But if they just on passing see it, they don't have to do anything about it. But to that same end, neither does a normal civilian.
I was just thinking that too. I'm like, but I think as a normal civilian, just from a human's perspective, you would want to do something, whether it be calling someone or maybe even if you're brave enough, going in the midst of the situation yourself. Like, wouldn't you feel like if we seen something right now, it would obviously do something on the inside of us.
Well, what we would do ideally is call the fucking cop.
Yeah, right.
So the fact that somebody's in that situation and they are unable to call a cop, it feels kind of wrong to just be like, oh, there's a cop right there. That's the person I need to do the job, and they're just not required to do their job. That doesn't make sense.
Right, and what's crazy is sometimes calling the cops isn't even the right move. Because sometimes calling the cops will actually backfire on you, which is sad.
How is that allowed?
And I just recently watched this video on this. It was this girl, this woman. She was a college student. She was 20. She was Asian. I forget her name. I'm sorry, but there's this video going around of how she was basically having a mental breakdown. So she said she actually called the cops on herself because she was in the wrong. But the cop that showed up to the scene dragged her out of her dorm down the stairs. And when she was trying to get up to lift her head, the cop put her foot on her head and forced her head down. Like, that's crazy. And and she called the cops on herself.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. So, yeah.
Well, cops just need to get familiarized with mental health in general.
But see, that's the thing. That's what she was talking about. She said she was studying to be a nurse, and she said that usually, or not even usually, but what they do is they teach them on how to talk to patients. They level with them. They talk to them. They don't try to escalate the situation. Like when me and you were talking on our previous, not even our previous episode, because, yeah. Anyways,
doesn't exist. We'll edit that out.
Yeah, we recorded a video, our first video, but it got messed up. So technically, this is our first video
episode. Alternate dimension.
Yeah, like some weird shit.
Timeline shit. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, basically she was saying that they're trained to just level with their patients and whatnot, and she was saying that's what cops they don't do.
Right.
And they need to be trained to do that.
Some of them do, but of their own accord. That's not something that they instinctively do.
Right.
Because when you have authority, you wield it, and sometimes it's bad.
Exactly.
But some cops like to level with people and are trying to make a difference. It's just.
And those are the ones we don't see because we've seen so many bad ones, which is unfortunate.
That's truly unfortunate.
Yeah.
But think about it. Good cop, and we've said this, and I'm going to say it over and over and
Let's
over.
hear it. Let's hear it.
Good cops are ones who are working against a broken system rather than for it. That's the problem.
Okay.
Good cops are an exception as opposed to a rule, because in order to be a good cop, you have to work against all this bullshit.
Which is a lot.
Which is too much. It's not
Too much.
fair.
It's not.
It's systemically bad. While being a bad cop's easier than being a good cop. That's just a fact, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I feel sorry for all the bad cops out there. I really do. I have a friend whose father is a cop too.
We're hoping. Is that the guy we're hoping to get on this?
Oh no! So we are going to. Oh, I don't think we said this in the beginning, but we're going to have guests on here, friends, and just whomever we see that
Hopefully experts. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at some point, experts. This is the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend has a friend who is a cop and is an ex-Marine, and I would love to hear his thoughts on everything that's going on in the climate, because one of my friends recently got in a fight with him, and it was over a conversation about how everything is going on right now, because he is a cop, so he is dealing with a lot of this, and he is getting a lot of heat. So we're gonna have him on here pretty soon, because I would love to hear his perspective on everything.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be dope.
Arguments are bread and butter. So somebody who likes to get into those, and as a cop,
yeah,
we gotta have him.
And from what I heard, when he was arguing with my friend, they were talking about the looting and all that stuff that's going on, which is just a side effect from riots. That's what you're gonna get with riots. Like that stuff comes along with this energy, because it's energy. It's all energy, and of course it's gonna go everywhere. So.
And plus, people were fighting against the loot. Like, protesters were fighting against the looters anyway. It comes with the chaos.
Yeah.
Cops don't get to exploit that chaos to justify their own bad
actions.
Behavior. It's fucking ridiculous.
Right,
it's like, giving a child a gun and then saying, oh, well, now I get to beat your ass because you misused that gun. Like, that's fucking not fair. It's not fair. But what is fair is what we're trying to figure out. This is a hard controversy due to the fact that a lot of the time, most countries will have these laws that. Sorry, I'm trying to find
your dog's running away.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name?
Georgie. I have a dog named Georgie, and every time
Georgie
we shoot this. He just runs a freaking...
Yeah. So what we do is how we shoot this is we shoot, not to go completely off topic, even though we are, but we basically shoot this in a garage. And so behind the camera is the open garage. And so the dogs and whatever just kind of run out and back and forth. And people walk by and see this. So, yeah.
I honestly hate that dog.
I'm sorry.
No, I love him. But
what were you saying, though?
Sorry, yeah. Every country has laws that are loosely enforced. And this is important to have because... you want to discourage people from doing the activity for one reason or another. And you also want people to feel autonomous enough to make their own decisions without feeling stifled. And that's where you get this weird mix. Just an example. There's this list of victimless crimes, which is hugely controversial.
Victimless crimes? List of people with victimless crimes.
List of victimless crimes that are considered victimless crimes. For example, and this is speaking strictly legally, not like morally or philosophically or whatever.
Okay, let's hear it.
Adultery. You can't legally enforce adultery with, you don't know their shit. You don't know the deal. And because it's two consenting adults making a decision, even though one person gets screwed over, this isn't technically a legal issue, and yet everyone wants to make it one because they're like, it's not a victimless crime, and other people are like, well, it kind of is because they're just two consenting adults. Another example is certain types of drug use. For example, marijuana. It's a victimless crime.
Okay.
There's no victim unless you're giving it to an underage kid, which is already illegal. But if I'm an adult, why would it be illegal? It doesn't make sense. And now it's not. But for a long time, it was barely enforced, and it was only enforced in racist or prejudiced ways, or just really ignorant ways. Just But technically speaking, people argue that's a victimless crime, and other people said, "No, that's not a victimless crime." Marijuana doesn't do anything.
Marijuana literally does nothing to you.
Yeah, once you're fully developed. Like if you're like 16, it will affect your memory and stuff like that. Not too much, but it will.
It's nothing compared to like, because really alcohol is worse than marijuana, and they sell that legally.
Fucking worse.
So is cigarettes. But everyone knows this. This has been a conversation.
Right. So what should cops enforce? And if victimhood is the condition for a crime, then what about all those things that aren't crimes, that like alcohol or fucking I lost it, doesn't matter.
No, that's right. You're okay, bro.
Point is, what should, it goes back to what should cops enforce versus what shouldn't they? It's hard to say. Like underage sex is technically illegal, but kids fuck all the time. It's just gonna happen.
Right.
Cops can't do anything about it.
That's never gonna stop. That's just mankind being mankind.
Yeah, it's a fact of life.
Yeah, the kids are gonna be having sex. It's a. What do you guys think? Like, I think that to have this conversation be even bigger than what it is, if you guys are into, whatever, like laws and, law enforcement and stuff like this, you should comment down below. Or even, you could even talk to us through our Instagrams or whatever. Let us know, because we really are interested in hearing what you guys think when we talk about this stuff. Because we really don't have the answers. We just have opinions and things that we think. What we want to do is spark the conversation, So that's pretty much how I can answer that, because it's like,
yeah, when it's just us, what we're trying to do isn't, we're not trying to come to any kind of conclusion, although we'll try.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is kind of shotgun it, just cover as how big this controversy goes.
Right.
But when we bring on guests, we genuinely want to know people's opinions and what they think is a real solution. So if you guys could comment and tell us, it doesn't matter how edgy or controversial you think you're being, please share. It's important. It's always important. No matter how trivial you think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So
back to topic at hand. What do you think? What laws should we enforce?
I mean, what laws should we enforce? I feel like I could answer what laws we shouldn't enforce better than that, because there's so many stupid ones. And even back to the 50 dumbest laws I was looking at. And I don't even know if people actually enforce these laws or not.
No, I doubt it.
I mean, because they're just so outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
What's another retarded one? In Montana, one may not pretend to abuse an animal in the presence of a minor. So imagine if you were actually abusing an animal in the presence of a minor. So that's not.
That's a different set of laws, totally separate. We're not sure if that's legal or not, but you can't pretend.
That's weird though.
Like you're pretending. Oh boy.
But if the law is that he can't pretend, so is there think about the flip side of that. So what if he's not pretending? So he's not breaking the law.
Well, he'd be breaking a different law, the animal abuse thing. But I don't know if in the presence of a minor. That sounds specific. But
think about this. Why is that even a law in the first place? Like, what happened to where they got to where they had to make that a law?
It's a Karen law.
A Karen law.
Some white lady said, I don't want these adults to be pretending to abuse animals around my children.
A lot of these laws are pretty out there. In Ohio, it says if one loses their exotic animal, they must notify the authorities within 1 hour.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wonder if that's enforced.
Listen to this. In Pennsylvania, it says persons convicted of felonies may not operate bingo games. That sucks. I mean, I don't even play bingo, but that would be that would be lame if you're excluded from a bingo game.
Right.
Of friends or whatever.
Well, now I realize I don't know very much about the bingo scene, and maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's a history there.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of history behind these laws, and they're really old. And what they need to do is update a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these laws, they just don't work for today's life. Like I highly doubt any. I mean, I highly doubt anyone's actually enforcing these laws, but you never know. You might come across a very retarded situation, and a cop might actually be serious about this.
Well, plus in like actual court, people can cite these laws and say,
actually, you're right. Yeah, and one of these laws might actually end up working against you.
Yeah, which is an absurd policy. And in fact, most courts don't even recognize. I don't know about most courts, but there have been cases where a court didn't recognize an old law because of the fact that it's just so fucking old and nobody's been persecuted for it. And they're like, I'm not going to perpetuate this, even though that's not the American policy, as far as I know.
Listen to this. In Vermont, it says that women must obtain written permission from their husbands to wear false teeth. This is a law.
See, that's weird as hell. That's weird as hell, that specific one. But it is the case that women were considered chattel. Like even, and don't quote me on this, but even up to like, I think the 70s, women had to get permission. I don't think this was enforced, but technically in the law, you had to get permission from your husband or father to get a credit card.
Really?
For a woman. Yeah, and this law has only recently been changed. And plus, the fucking domestic rape was only recently in California illegalized.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't recognize, like, if you're married, they said you can't be raped.
Oh,
as a woman.
Oh yeah, no, I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah, no, you can be raped and be married. Come on now.
Not a controversy we're going to cover because it's not a controversy.
Yeah, there's no controversy about that. You can be raped and be married.
It's absurd.
You tell your partner you don't want to have sex. They take advantage of you. They rape you. It's like, come on now. Like,
it's absurd that it took this long. I think that's
crazy. Yeah,
it was fairly recent.
Crazy.
And so that law, while it's weird that false teeth are a thing, that doesn't surprise me. Women were considered property essentially with extra rights.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird what ones cops choose to enforce versus ones they don't.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I think, I mean, with all this being said, it really shows you that a lot of these laws, they need to be updated. I think I said that earlier. I really believe that. I also think that, again, these cops need to be more informed on the law than the average folk. That's what I think.
Yeah. If they're not, then they're... Well, okay, so, one, they can arrest you or persecute you, and I use the term persecute specifically, if they think you're doing something illegal.
What's that, like conspiracy or something? Isn't that what they call it?
Conspiracy?
Yeah, like they think you're going to do something wrong, so they can just... Basically,
right. Yeah. Probable cause is something like that. But freaking, they could be wrong. That's the thing. Be. More than that, they could think a thing you're doing is illegal, and you're not actually doing something illegal. Like specifically, you're changing a tire on the side of a curb, right? Okay. I don't actually know if it's illegal or not, but say it's not illegal. If a cop thinks it's illegal, they can't arrest you, and they won't be held accountable.
That's crazy because they could almost, well, I'm pretty sure they do. They say that about most things. Like, even if they know, but they're just BSing.
That's fucking, it's bullshit.
It's very aggravating. Even thinking about it right now just boils my blood. Really.
It's so fucking stupid. They need to know the laws. And if they don't, it's like, well, it's hard to determine in everyday circumstances what is versus what isn't a law. And that's... it's difficult, so fucking train them. Just give them.
Yeah, we need more pressure on these cops. We need them to be. I mean, I was looking into it the other day. Even what it requires to become a cop, you need your GED or your high school diploma.
Of course.
Sometimes you need your associate's degree. So I think it's at like some states require a 4-year. Alrighty, my bad, you guys. My camera cut off. What we don't have is like a monitor for my camera to extend the length in which we record right now, and we're looking into investing that. not too long from now. So just bear with us for now. But what I was saying was it doesn't require that much to become a police officer. And I think that it should probably require a little bit more, or no, it should require a little bit more than what is currently being required of them. I think they should go under more training. They should really dabble into, I think, more so like, yes, physical. I also think they should be more physically fit than what they are, because a lot of them aren't in the best of shape. I think they should do some sort of, I want to say like psychology training or whatever on how to de-escalate situations. I mean, I know they get some of that now, or I think they do, but I know it's not as good as what it should be. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and I think essentially what we're collectively saying is that this controversy is hard to suss out without a good system.
Yeah, the system needs to be changed completely. I'm for the defunding and building back up.
Yeah,
strongly.
And allowing civilians to be more involved with the legislative process. Right. Accountability.
Right.
Cops just haven't been doing enough of a good job for us to determine what laws we do and do not want them to enforce.
For so long, too.
For too long.
Yes.
I know on a personal level that I want them to generally stop. I want them to enforce laws that they know if they didn't would harm people, would have a high chance of harming people.
Oh, I got you. Basically the stupid laws.
Yeah. Like if they see a mugging and they don't stop it, that's a problem for me.
That is a problem.
But if they see like a misdemeanor and they don't enforce it, while maybe this ripples out into a grand scheme sociological issue, on an individual level, it doesn't harm anyone.
One may argue, because I'm thinking, okay, so let's say this. So let's say anybody, man, woman, child, is stealing gum from a liquor store, a Circle K or whatever, and the cop says, we're just going to let that slide. That there becomes an ongoing theme because they don't stop the little thing. Now it's just, oh, yeah, people could just pretty much steal whatever they want, whenever they want.
Right. But I'm of the opinion to where, like...
just playing devil's advocate, by the way.
Slippery slope, right?
Okay.
That you're arguing that one thing will incrementally lead to a bigger thing. It's slippery slope.
Right.
And the way I see it, I don't even think that's... again, I'm a cynic. I don't...
You don't think it'll add up?
For authority. I don't think it'll add up, and even if it does, I don't think it'll harm that many people. And if it does, there is legislature in place to where people can sort that out themselves. A cop's involvement would only be necessary if physical harm is a probability. If there is a probability of somebody being harmed, cops should be involved. And in fact, those are the laws cops should enforce. If somebody's going to be hurt, or somebody needs to be removed from a situation to where they're going to hurt themselves or others, which is why it's so important for cops to know mental health. If you're a harm to yourself or others, you need help. Cops should be part of that process.
Right. Okay. Back to when you said you were saying you think that people could sort that out themselves. What if someone on the extreme ends up killing someone for stealing over and over and over again?
Yeah.
That would be the people solving an issue that you did not need to kill this person.
No.
I mean, maybe you might hit this person out of anger. I don't know that there's just so many different variables and things that could happen with that if it's in like an ongoing issue. But at the same time, I see your point too. Mm-hmm. So
this isn't an easy controversy.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just it would be a little bit easier if cops would do their job.
Yeah,
be good at it maybe.
And even I mean, obviously, what I'm about to say is obviously a big thing, and the whole point of our show is to tackle things that most people aren't talking about. But on the George Floyd thing, the guy who actually caught the cops on George Floyd, he said that he wasn't going to call the cops on people, like on issues that small. It's unnecessary, and it just makes sense to bring that up because of what you just said. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think a cop should be involved with something like that, because look what it could lead to, especially if it's someone of color.
It's too dangerous as of right now to determine anything.
Right.
Unless we fix the fucking system.
Right.
Defund, more people involvement. We just got to change things. And this is part of that change. Figuring out these small things.
These conversations, these conversations, talking about it, hearing it, thinking about it, and going over it is definitely going to contribute to, I think, society in a good way.
I hope so.
That's why we need you guys to definitely conversate with us and let us know. We'll have all of our social medias and, everything in the description, and we'll have all that for you guys. But I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. Mm-hmm. Thank you for tuning into our first episode of Mini. And yes, the Who Cares podcast.
Who cares? We do. See you next time.
That was so corny. Who Cares podcast.